recently converted to Buddhism, and he came up and he said, "Hey man, do you know the sound of one hand clapping?" So I slapped him. I got another friend, he's like really into board games, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey man, let's play Risk and Monopoly at the same time so we have to manage a wartime economy." I said, "All right, Mein Fuhrer." Like, tell me you've read Mein Kampf without telling me you've read Mein Kampf, you know? One day you're talking Risk, then the next day you're talking about annexing South Carolina to teach them how to make barbecue correctly. What I'm saying is my friend's got more concentration than I do. That's right, I'm here. I'm going to bring you the hard-hitting, tough questions tonight. Like, if you have amnesia twice, is that deja vu? Something to think about, or not. Let's see. And if you type an email to a deaf person in all caps, does it make it louder? Oh, hey, do you ever think about which sex kink certain celebrities have? Do you ever think about that just in your downtime? Just me? Okay. Like, I bet Bono is really into edging. If you didn't get that, that's kind of the point. It's just a lot of build-up, then nothing. I was recently eating 24 Hot Pockets for breakfast because life's not worth living. And, like, if Netflix cancels Emily in Paris, I'm out. Like, may she reign forever. I'm going to take a swan dive off the parking deck. But I noticed on the packaging for Hot Pockets that they refer to themselves as sandwiches. No? Like a Hot Pocket's like a white dude with dreadlocks, heard about what a burrito is, never tried one, and then tried to make it on his own. That's a borderline racist food, right? Like, you need to stick to the ham and cheese ones, and those aren't really kosher anyway. But like, food advertising is like way out of hand. Like, have you ever thought, what if Arby's didn't have the meats? Chaos, man, chaos. I was actually watching TV recently and I saw an ad for Hellmann's mayonnaise with no white people in it. We did it. We solved diversity. That's it. Mayonnaise is what white people do. Who do you think's buying that torpedo-sized tub at Costco? White people. Why do you think we have 2 Dakotas and a Minnesota? Mayonnaise. Just throwing shit in there, calling it salad. You ever heard of ham salad? It's 2 ingredients. Ham and mayonnaise. They sell it in the store. Pickles is another white person industry, right? That's just the whole industry of turning shit into not what it is. Shove it in a jar with vinegar. The apocalypse is going to come eventually. It's going to be salty. I do think about food a lot. I think about it a whole lot, like all the time. And I think it's because I used to be really overweight. At my peak, I topped out at 320 pounds, had a size 42-inch waist. That's a professional fat man, if you know what I'm talking about. But a few years ago, through like diet and exercise, I changed up things, and I managed to lose 120 pounds.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Now you're probably wondering which diet I used. I will tell you. Anorexia. Look, I'm just here to give you facts. It's the only diet that is 100% effective, and it's the cheapest. But I had to like change up things, and I started paying attention in grocery stores to like foods and labels and stuff that was going into my body, and I realized like the whole food industry is just meaningless adjectives and descriptions that don't mean anything. Like, have you ever heard of garden fresh soup? Can't grow soup. If it sits on a shelf for 3 years, it's no longer fresh either, I'm guessing, right? Or macaroni and cheese was another one of my favorites, right? When it would say made with real cheese. I mean, I fucking hope so. By definition, that is one of the 2 ingredients. It would be even worse when it would say now made with real cheese. What was that before? Like ground up orange crayons and cocaine? Look at it this way. If that's flipped around and it said now made with real macaroni, you'd have a lot of questions on that one, right? What was that before? Like hollowed out cat bones and now they're shaking down kindergartners for their art projects? It's crazy. And orange juice is another one. We let that get way out of hand. Ugh. Pay attention next time you're in the store for that. You got no pulp, some pulp, all pulp, just a fucking brick. We've even got one that's orange but not juice. No matter, we'll call it Sunny D. It'll be the foundation of soccer in America. I used to work at Whole Foods. We sold one called Artisanal Deconstructed Orange Juice. It was just 3 oranges whole with stickers on them and everything, crammed in a carton with a handlebar mustache and a note that said, "Juice it yourself, you capitalist pigs." There's even one that's orange juice with pineapple pulp because it's transitioning and living its best life, and we should support that. Look, early in my comedy career, I did that joke at an open mic, and the 5 closest people to me were all trans women, and I knew if they didn't like that joke, I was going to find out how much dick was left in that room. Anyway, back to orange juice, right? Why is that coming in the dairy section? Better yet, why are eggs in the dairy section? You can't milk a chicken, but they have breasts. I don't know. If almonds have taught me anything, if you squeeze it hard enough, you can just about milk anything, right? Do me a favor next time you're in Starbucks, call it nut juice. Just make everyone uncomfortable. I think we stopped milking animals like way too early, just way too early. Like cows, right? Goats, sheep, if you're like Greek or Scottish. I don't know. I think we should have kept going, right? Should have just started experimenting. I think we should have milked pandas. They're just out there being useless. We're saving them for no goddamn reason, right? Like Darwin's in the corner with an arsenal like Rambo, locked and loaded, ready to do God's work, and we keep taking that bullet for him. They owe us a few favors, right? Let's see what that milk's like. And I know what you're saying. Hey, pandas are rare. They're rare like a blonde Italian. So, we can still use them. Look, I'm vegetarian, and I want to eat a panda just out of spite. It's lazy, it's grass-fed, that meat is probably delicious. All right, moving on. We're living in pretty divisive times now, I think. Everyone kind of agree on that. It's pretty, outside, things are kind of rough, And I grew up in the 90s when there were a lot of music rivalries, right? Like Nirvana versus Pearl Jam, right? Biggie versus Tupac, that's a no-win situation. Britney fans versus Christina fans, right? Some people liked NSYNC. Some people were just fucking wrong. But I think if we're going to heal the division in this country and come together as one, we're going to have to address January 6th, right? That's the day that the middle ground just eroded away to nothing. Pick a side, you're either with us or against us, right? Good versus evil, January 6th, that's the day. January 6th. The 6th of January. January 6th, 1975, because that's the day that Wheel of Fortune debuted on American television to challenge Jeopardy for the American game show crown. That's how I see the world. You're either a Jeopardy person or a Wheel of Fortune person. And I might have made some car rides home a little awkward. That's on me. I can live with that. But just think about it. That's how I see the world. Which group of people do you think knows the periodic table of elements? And which group drinks a lot of Mountain Dew? Which group do you think knows all the state capitals, and which group has a favorite vape flavor and puts ketchup on everything? Favorite vape might be ketchup, you never know. One more. Which group do you think knows who won every World Series, and which group do you think thinks Y can never be a vowel because letters ain't gender fluid? Look, you got 5 vowels. E, I, and O. That's it. And Jeopardy's all the time sending people to like Alaska or the Galapagos or, I don't know, I hate those categories. But like Wheel of Fortune just puts up a backdrop that says, "Howdy y'all, it's Texas week," but they're still filming the show in Burbank because those dum-dums don't know the difference. Look, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen on Wheel of Fortune, right? First contestant spins the wheel. T! No T's. Second person spins the wheel. Even louder. T! Still no T's. Third person spins the wheel. Why? And Sajak said, I ask myself that every day. That is the best thing I have ever seen in my life, and I have seen the Dave Matthews Band twice. I thought he was going to kill himself on national TV. Just take one of those pegs off the wheel, straight into his temple, man. That dude fought in Vietnam. Do you understand what I'm saying? He fought in Vietnam. I bet he regrets winning that Russian roulette tournament that got him on that last chopper out of Saigon, too. Look, you just have to, like, know things to be on Jeopardy, right? Like, if you get to the final part of Wheel of Fortune, they give you R.L. Stein to go for. You only need to know, like, 18 of the 26 letters. Remember when Wordle was stealing everybody's data? You had to go into that cold. Just stab it in the dark. Wheel of Fortune, not the case. I will say this, though. You don't have to be that smart to host Jeopardy. Because this is true. One of Alex Trebek's doctors was failed Senate candidate Dr. Oz. I'll take karma for 2,000, Alice, to make that one a true daily double. But we like to live. We're in these divisive times, and we like to jump to conclusions, and we like to paint with broad strokes and all that stuff. And if we need to, we really need to unite against our own common enemy, and that is autocorrect. Right? A lot of ducking going on these days. Whole lot of ducking. Not that much ducking going on. Last time I checked, I think that Chris Brown's single. It'll be funny later. Here's my favorite autocorrect story, right? My mom sent me a message. She said something that I was going to respond to with a 3-letter affirmative. Yup. And I got YU typed in, and autocorrect's #1 suggestion was Yugoslavia. Now, my Jeopardy people will be quick to point out Yugoslavia, not a country since 1992. But for all you Wheel of Fortune people, I'll clarify a little bit. How much is that getting typed in to autocorrect to where they think that's what I was going to type? Like, that's the #1 suggestion they're making. So the thing is, like, going forward, that became a thing between me and my mom. Anytime she would ask me something that I needed to respond to with yes, it would just be Yugoslavia. Like, hey, you coming home this weekend? Yugoslavia. Hey, did you see the game? Yugoslavia. Or, hey, what country came about in the aftermath of World War I and the downfall of the Austro-Hungarian Empire to unite the people of Serbia, Croatia, and Slovenia? Yugoslavia. Mom wanted to get the facts straight, right? But now, here's the fun part, right? Because I carry an iPhone next to my dangly bits all day, I know that somewhere in a government building, in some dank, smoky basement, there's a man sitting in a room surrounded by chalkboards connected with red yarn, trying to figure out why this mother and son duo from Greensboro, North Carolina is trying to reunify the Balkans under the red flag of communism. It thrills me, man. He's just be pouring over text messages like all day, just trying to figure out why all we talk about is how cool Brandy Carlisle is and the strength of Manchester City's midfield attack. Probably thinking that we're gonna invade from the northwest of England with an army of lesbian rock stars. What does it all mean? But we like jumping to conclusions in these days, and we do paint with broad strokes, and we like to see connections where they're not. And we like to judge people as either being entirely good or entirely bad. And I'm not sure that's the case, right? I don't think anything's good or bad entirely. I think we kind of live in a perpetual shade of gray and fluctuate between the extremes, right? Y'all with me on that? Yeah. All right, I'll give you some examples, right? Cancer. Horrible, right? It's probably affected the majority of us in this room. But it made Lance Armstrong more comfortable on his bicycle. Probably made him a little more aerodynamic in the bedroom, if you ask his missus. Dementia, that's another one. Takes people from us long before they actually die. It's horrible. Took my grandma, awful. But it turned Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher into bumbling idiots before they died. They were so good at deregulation, they did it to themselves. That's a really smart joke. It's a really smart one, right? If you didn't get it, just pretend I said leftist hippie bullshit. It'll just equal out in the end, right? Like I was recently Googling the homie Osama bin Laden, and it turns out that he was a strong proponent in the fight against global warming. That's right. To be the terror you wish to see in the world, you must first save the world that you wish to terrorize. Speaking of, right? Anyone doing that DNA ancestry, taking the test? White people going to didmyfamilyownpeople.com, taking that test where you spit in your mom's mouth and then you find out your grandchildren are going to have red hair or something like that. I don't know how it works. Science, you know. I don't want to know anything about either side of my family, right? I knew 3 of my grandparents. That was one too many. I'm not gonna benefit by knowing more about people born before 1916, right? Both sides of my family have lived in this area since before the Civil War. That's as much as I do know, and that's all that I need to know, right? On my dad's side of the family, I don't know much about them at all, which is the best thing to do because that family tree's probably got a few loops in it, if you catch my drift. But I do know some things about my mom's side of the family. Like, for instance, I know that we're related to the Wright brothers. So, if you think about it, in a way, kind of responsible for 9/11. All right, I gotta get out of here. I'm Jason.